Good morning. I'm Dennis Asset and welcome. This is the special coverage of the pain at the pump, painting the situation as is on ground. Kenyans today woke up to a second day of transport operators downing tools, saying they would not continue offering services to wananchi because of the high cost of fuel prices. This coming a day after that meeting with the Cabinet Secretary for Energy, Opiyo and I, together with Transport CS, David Chirchir, that many would say did not bear any fruit. But that notwithstanding, Kenyans today found themselves at the very same situation they were yesterday. Today, we continue with the coverage and we'll be touching base with our reporters from across the country. We begin from right here in the CBD in Nairobi, where Francis Ontoma is pitching camp, as well as Bentura Kwamboka, who is in Kangemi. We'll be bringing us up to speed on the situation on the roads and pretty much across the country, as we'll be touching base with the other reporters as well. But let's begin with Francis Ontoma. Ontoma, good morning to you. How are you? Happy to see that you are bright and early and ready to bring us up to speed. What's the latest from the CBD, Ontoma?
It's good to speak to you, Dennis. I'm standing here right at the heart of CBD Nairobi, here at the National Archives. This is day 2 of the nationwide transport strike that has paralyzed operations across the country. And I just want to show you the new look Nairobi that is not far from what we witnessed yesterday. The city is still stranded. We are seeing motorists still stranded. They cannot find means of transport. Public transport has been completely paralyzed. We cannot see a single Matatu operating within the CBD, and that's the situation. You're seeing most of the people who have already made their way to the CBD, they've either used taxis or some of them have walked literally from their estates to come to the CBD. I've just been speaking to a guy who's left Kawangware very early in the morning. He had just arrived to just begin his work within the city, and therefore it is a tough toll for motorists and for residents here of Nairobi. Still, the situation is the same. Most of the shops that are within the CBD are still closed, albeit there are few that have opened. We've seen a couple, but you can count the number of hotels and shops that have been opened within the CBD, but largely they are closed. There is a lot of fear among traders that they may face the music should they open the doors to their shops today. And therefore, largely it's deserted. We are seeing a few border riders also bringing in people within the CBD. Those are shops that we are showing you live on TV. These are shops, for instance, this is a cyber passport photos printing shop. The next one is a tourism and media related shop. All these are closed, and all it's because of course, the apprehension that things could spill over should they open their shops. Most of the people you are still walking around here, most of them have walked literally to be in the CBD. Some of them have come to do menial jobs here in the city. There are those who have been telling us that they cannot afford a second day in the house, and therefore they have to show up in town and be able to try and eke a living. So that is the situation right here at the CBD, at the National Archives. And some important update that I need to bring up to speed is about the arrest of the OCS Central Police Station. This is an update that we've got this morning, that Central OCS, Mr. Dishen Angoya, if I got the name right, was arrested last night and taken to the Langata police station. And reason, it's because he is said to have unlawfully allowed prisoners to leave the Central Police Station. Some 64 prisoners who had been arrested in connection to the protest, or rather through the go-slow that we are talking about. So he was taken to Langata Police Station, but the latest update that we have is that he was taken ill and taken to the Langata Hospital, where he is currently recuperating. So that's the latest. The OCS for Central Police Station is currently at hospital. We tried to speak to junior officers at the Langata Hospital, the Langata Langata police station. They couldn't divulge most of these details because, of course, of the protocol issues. They referred us to the regional bosses to give us a clear update. But what we managed to gather on the ground is that he's currently at the Langata hospital. We'll be, of course, following up for more updates on what exactly is happening and whether he will be arraigned in court at some point. So whether he released them lawfully or unlawfully, that is something that we also yet to establish properly. But within the law, we know that the OCS has powers to release prisoners from custody. But of course, within the confines of certain provisions of the law, not entirely, it's not entirely blanket. So we will be, of course, offering updates as to that effect on what exactly will be panning out as regards the arrest of the OCS of Central Police Station. Other than that, let me take you back to the city. I think I've been interacting here with a couple of residents of the city to just share their updates. Security, let me speak about security. Security has been tight. We've seen police officers manning the city at different points. Right here, this is a police lorry that is right at the archives. Police officers seems to be a bit relaxed because really it's a bit calm here within the CBD, but they are not taking any chances. They are here to ensure that the central business district of Nairobi is safe and that operations can still go on, albeit slow. We haven't seen much really going on in terms of the pace that we know of Nairobi, but that is the situation. Let me speak to a gentleman here that I've just met within the CBD. He'll introduce himself and tell us how he managed to reach CBD. Tueleze jina lako, ulifikaje hapa CBD na siku imekuwaje asubuhi ya leo?
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Romeo William, kwa jina maarufu hapa Nairobi naitwa 3Bob. Mimi ndio chairman CBD and Nairobi. Yeah, so nimetumia pikipiki kukuja hapa town, nafanya kazi hapa town, na nimeona kuko na usalama. Nikiongelea usalama, nimeona at least for the first time in Nairobi hakuna any dustbin yenye imeharibiwa first of all, and another thing nimeona for the first time Nairobi CBD hakuna biashara ya mtu imeguzwa na mtu yoyote, kusipokuwa tu Nairobi mzima pale pale nimeona gari imechomwa, na hiyo kitu inasikitisha sana, kwa sababu unaweza kuwa umesave pesa yako 2 million kununua gari, alafu mtu tu from nowhere ati kwa sababu ni maandamano anachoma gari yako. Hiyo kitu inasikia vibaya kwa roho.
Thank you so much, gentleman. That is a gentleman, of course, expressing his frustration on what has been transpiring since yesterday. We've seen a couple of businesses, couple of vehicles set on fire, and that is really disappointing for the gentleman who's just spoken to us. Of course, we've seen the government and the Matatu Owners Association and the broader transport sector trying to put their minds together and broker a deal that really hasn't materialized much, because what we are witnessing is almost akin to what we saw yesterday happen across the country and across the city here in Nairobi. I want to hand over to my colleague, and before my colleague comes on board, there's a gentleman here who came all the way to the CBD using his bicycle, and we just want to engage him and just hear his experience. Tuambie jina lako na ulifikaje hii asubuhi ya leo hapa CBD?
Kwa majina naitwa Protas Oundo. Changamoto ni kubwa kulingana na usafiri, sababu saa hii inabidi tu plan B vile tufike town. Tukifika town tunapata maduka zimefungwa zenye tunafanya kazi. Ni changamoto, ukirudi kwa nyumba hata inashindwa utaenda kukaje kwa nyumba na rent ikapo ikifika end month. Sasa ni maisha imekaa ngumu. Kitu tunaomba serikali, sisi ndio tuliwachagua tukaweka kwa hiyo nafasi, na wananchi wakilia mnafahamu wasikize, si kujipiga kifua. Na kumbuka hata ukiwekwa kwa mamlaka, si atu uwezi tolewa. Wenye walikuweka ndio wanaweza kutoa.
Tueleze, umetoka mtaa gani na ulikuja kwa baiskeli?
Nimetoka Utawala Airways. Imebidi nikuja na bike sababu huwezi kosa kuja kazi, sababu hakuna transport, hakuna gari. Ni njia moja kwa sijui nitaeleza aje, lakini serikali tunaomba itusikize.
Tunakushukuru sana kwa kuzungumza na KTN. Asante sana. That is one of the frustrated motorists. He's made his way all the way to the CBD using a bicycle, all the way from Utawala. One of those experiences that are really tough really to tell here. So I want to shift focus now. I want to hand over this to my colleague who is also broadcasting from Kangemi, Bentura Kwamboka. If you can hear me, please share your updates from Kangemi.
Well, thank you so much, Francis Ontoma, from that update. And the situation here is not much different from that is currently at the Central Business District. We are currently along the Waiyaki Way, Kangemi to be specific. And the situation is a bit calm as compared to yesterday. Remember yesterday we had some bonfire along this road just a few meters right here. The residents around here had barricaded the road using a bonfire just to paralyze transportation along this road. But the situation remains calm, and we are seeing the presence of security personnel just to maintain peace along this particular road. We know this particular area is a bit volatile when it comes to protests. As you can see, my camera person can pan to that side. You can see security officers just ensuring that the situation remains calm and peaceful. But apart from that, we've seen large crowds of people walking their way to the CBD or from the CBD, that's all the way to Westlands. Those who are coming from Uthiru all the way to Westlands, and subsequently those who are coming from Westlands all the way to Uthiru, just to go about their businesses. But as you can see, transport has been brought to a halt. We are a few meters away from the stage, that's the Kangemi stage. You can see all these buses that have been grounded. They are not working today. That tells you of how the situation is, especially impacting on the economy. Already as of yesterday, the country had lost close to 3 billion shillings in economy following the paralysis of the transport sector. Remember, the transport sector is actually the backbone of the country. Nothing runs without the transport sector, that is the public transport sector. Remember yesterday's protest, also there was a few security concerns, and also we had lost 4 lives. And subsequently, following yesterday's paralysis, we saw the Matatu Association holding meetings with the CS Transport, that is Davis Churchill, and his counterpart of energy, that's Opio Wandai, but they failed to agree. They said the 10 shillings reduction on diesel is not good enough to propel this particular economy, because the ordinary Kenyan is the one who's going to feel the ordinary Kenyan is the one who's going to feel the burden of that particular increase. That's why we are here, day 2 of the transport paralysis in the country. Just before I let you go, I can talk to a gentleman here who is a driver with one of the Matatu circles here. Jambo, labda tuambie kwa majina unaitwa nani na kazi yako ya driver. Sasa tunaingia siku ya pili ya mgomo huu, imekuathiri aje?
Hii kazi imetuathiri vibaya sana kama sekta ya matatu. Sasa hii mambo ya mafuta ndio imeenda juu, imeaffect the common mwananchi. Watu wanatembea, hakuna magari. The backbone ya economy ni mafuta. Na mafuta vile imeenda juu, imeaffect kila kitu. Common mwananchi amekuwa affected. Sasa imeleta uchumi imeenda mbali zaidi. Sasa watu wanalilia Rais William Ruto kwa sababu the first campaign ulifanya, ulipromise watu lazima mafuta irudi chini. Kwa sababu kampeni ulisema mafuta inapita hapa Nairobi, ikienda Uganda, ikienda Kongo, ikienda Zaire, ikienda Tanzania. Watu wanakuwa na hiyo kribu yako vile uliongea vizuri. Sasa itakuwaje wakati huu? Na ulisema ile vita ilikuwa ya kwanza wakati wa uhuru, mafuta ikaenda juu, sio ya kwamba inasawiza hiyo mafuta. Hiyo hii sasa imerudi hiyo vita. Kwako utasuruhisha hache, kwa sababu that clip we have as the common mwananchi. Sasa wanakuangalia kwa sababu that is your promise. Usaidie common mwananchi. Sasa mafuta imeenda juu. Angalia the most affected sasa ni sekta ya matatu. Na kitu kimeleta hii shida yote. Kenya is a suitable country, but the corruption ndio shida. Unajua cartels from coffee, from sugar, from whatever mpaka imekuja kwa mafuta. Si watu weke ndani na unawajua. Because Kenya, the most kitu kina affect Kenya is only corruption. Hakuna kitu kingine. Ndio sababu kila uchumi imeenda juu.
Well, that's some sentiments from one of the driver operators here in Kangemi about the cost of fuel and how the ripple effect is felt across all sectors. Remember, the Deputy President, that is Kithure Kindiki, actually said that the government has done the best it can in terms of subsidizing, that's the price of fuel, and subsequently introducing a subsidy of over 10 million shillings to cushion consumers, that is in the transport sector. But that has not been felt because the cost of living remains to be high. But we'll be following up the updates on this current situation, especially along the Wayaki Way, and we'll be back with the updates on that. But now let me hand you over to Tobias Chanji, who's currently in Mombasa, to give us updates on the current situation there. Tobias.
Well, thank you, Ventura. Indeed, we are at the Mombasa CBD on Digo Road at Posta, to be specific, and compared to yesterday where we witnessed empty streets of Mombasa apart from the three-wheelers or the tuk-tuks. Today we've seen a great improvement. Several Matatus are now plying. Remember, this is the stage that connects several routes, including the Likoni Ferry, Migadini, Bamburi, Mtwapa, Chuda Kisauni, and several others. But what we've just noticed is that though they're back on the roads, the fares have significantly increased. For example, those coming from Bamburi were used to pay 100 shillings. Today, early morning, they were paying around 150 shillings. So just allow me to get a picture of the entire situation here from the chairperson of the Tuk-Tuk Association. Just introduce yourself, alafu tueleze hali imekuwa vipi leo ikilinganishwa na hiyo jana.
Okay, asante sana. Mimi kwa majina naitwa Profesa Collins Ochieng Obado Mombasa, chairman wa Tuk-Tuk mzima Mombasa. Siku ya leo tunasema tunashukuru Mungu. Mungu ameweza. Naona Mungu ameingia kwa roho ya binadamu, na binadamu wamesema wanataka ile roho ya kufanya kazi. Naona kuanzia jana watu wamepata shida sana kwa sababu matatu au kwa wanafanya kazi. Na mimi kama Tuk-Tuk sikufurahia kwa sababu watu wa matatu pia wako na jukumu la kufanya. Mimi nilikuwa naomba Mungu pia wao waingie barabarani. Na mimi leo tukiwa hapa Digo Road naona wanafanya kazi mpaka wanasema kidogo wameongeza, ndio wameongeza. Na mimi naona wanafanya kazi na hiyo kazi ndio mzuri.
Wacha naongea na abiria mmoja hapa, tuambie majina yako, nani, unatoka wapi na unaelekea wapi? Na leo umelipa shilingi ngapi?
Okay, asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Dan. Mimi ni mkaji wa hapa Mombasa. Kwa hakika kweli jana tuliteseka kidogo, ilikuwa kuna magari, na leo hii nimeamka asubuhi naona gari, isipokuwa fare kidogo imeongezeka. Lakini ujumbe yangu ningeweza kusema.
Umetoka wapi?
Nimetoka sehemu za Migadini.
Umelipa shilingi ngapi na kawaida unalipa shilingi?
Nimelipa, wanga tunalipa saa zingine za 50, 70. Kwa sasa tumelipa 100 kwa sababu kusema kweli kwa sababu ya mafuta iko juu. Mafuta iko juu, na ujumbe yangu ningeweza kusema Wakenya tuwe na subira. Tumeona kamiti za wenye wanaongelea na mambo ya transport wanazidi kuongea kuleta uwiano. Kuchoma gari ya mtu si mzuri, na kuiba vitu za watu si mzuri. Tuweze kuleta amani katika nchi wakati sekta wana deal na mambo ya transport wanaongelea hii issue. Kwa sababu nikiona kijana mdogo anatoa mtu kwa gari, anaibia mtu kwa barabara, hiyo sasa si maandamano ya transport. Hiyo sio maandamano ya fuel kwenda juu. Hiyo sasa ni cartel ya uwizi katika nchi. Hiyo ni goons. Na naweza sema ujumbe ya mwisho, amani katika taifa ya Kenya jameni. Hatupendi mambo hii, na ningeomba serikali yetu, jameni, angalieni jinsi mnaweza kuangalia tax ya mafuta ishuke chini kidogo. Hiyo ndio ujumbe yangu.
Sawa, naona wenzako wanasema wanachelewa. Nitaongea na mwanadada hapa ambaye pia kidogo ameogopa. Okay, there you have it. That is the situation of Mombasa as of now. And as I said earlier, compared to yesterday, today there is a significant improvement, especially on the public service vehicles, the Matatus. Remember that yesterday it was only the tuk-tuks that were on the road. So the drivers were complaining that apart from not joining the countrywide strike, there were no passengers anywhere, as most of them were just trekking from their homes to town. From now, it's back to the studio.
Thank you, Tobias Chanji there, joining us from Mombasa, as well earlier, just touching base with Francis Ontoma, who is in the CBD, and Bentura Kwamboka, who is at Kangemi, bringing us up to speed on the situation this morning, being the second day of the strike or the go-slow by the transport operators. But I want us to go to Kakamega County, touch base with our Kakamega-based reporter, Vale Tauma. And remember, because of the ongoing demonstrations, there are those who took advantage of the same, and there's a gentleman who was shot and is a victim of the chaos that was witnessed in Kakamega yesterday. Good morning, Violet Auma, joining us from Lurambe in Kakamega County. Kindly bring us up to speed on where you are and what you've gathered thus far.
Thank you so much. I'm currently at Shitao, that is Shitao area in Lurambe Sub-County, in a home where the Sigalagala student who was shot yesterday during the protest. Actually, this is his home, and I'm here with the family. That is the mother and the brother. He's the second born and the last born of this family. He's a second-year student at Sigalagala Polytechnics, and so I'm joined by the mother here. Mama, tueleze jina lako, tueleze mtoto wako, habari ya kuwa mtoto wako alipigwa risasi hiyo jana, uliipata vipi na alikuwa mtoto anasoma wapi? Tukianza kwa jina.
Majina yangu ama mtoto. Majina ni Rodha wa Irma. Nilikuwa nimekaa, chifu akanipigia simu na mtoto wa landlord wakaniambia enda mochari, mtoto wake amepostiwa amekufa, na alikuwa anasoma Shikalakala, alitoka shule anaenda maandamano na akauawa.
Huko maandamano alikuwa ameenda na nani? Huwa anafanya kazi gani town iwapo kama hayuko shule?
Alikuwa anakuanga kwa tuktuk ya rafiki yake, anamsaidia kutafuta wateja. Sasa alikuwa na rafiki yake wakienda town, na wakaenda bila waliwafukuza, wakaenda njia nini ya Marava na akauawa huko.
Baadaye ukaja pigiwa simu. Wakati ulipigiwa simu ulienda ukamkuta wapi? Alikuwa katika hali gani na alikuwa amepigwa risasi wapi?
Alikuwa amepigwa risasi huko, risasi 3. Alikuwa ameshashwa na hata ungejua. Nilimpata moja.
Yeah, Violet Auma bringing us up to speed with that. We shall be getting in touch with her a little bit later and just get that developing story from that home where the mother is explaining exactly the moment upon which she was giving the report that her son had been shot. Now, thousands of Kenyans were Monday treated to forced walkout sessions after trekking to work due to a strike called by owners of public service vehicles. Different roads in the city of Nairobi witnessed crowds of Kenyans trekking kilometers, while others had to find alternative means of transport. As Ian Ketani reports, most of the trekkers lamented over the high cost of fuel, while others feared they could lose their jobs.
One step after the other, from one city to the other, thousands of Kenyans flooded the roads, reason public transport paralysis. In the city of Nairobi, busy roads including Wayaki Way, Thika Road, Jogoo Road and Ngong Road, which usually experience intense traffic gridlock during morning hours, witnessed crowds of people walking to work. This followed a strike called by Matatu owners over the soaring fuel prices.
Nimetoka Kangemi kutembea naenda kazini, bado najitafutia riziki. Hakuna gari yoyote kwa barabara. Gari inasema tunalipishwa shilingi 100 kutoka Kangemi mpaka hapa Westland. Hiyo ni maisha gani mnatupeleka? Shilingi 30. Saa hizi ni shilingi 100 sasa kutoka Kangemi mpaka huku. Kutrack hiyo mwendo yote kutoka Kangemi hadi huku ni kazi mzito sana. Na umri kama hii yangu naenda kufanya kazi, nitaweza kweli? Hii ni maisha gani?
Usually it is mainly casual laborers who are seen trekking to and from work every day, but today corporate employees too found the going tough.
Nimetoka kwa nyumba around 5. Sasa saifa imepanda, unapata mali penye ulikuwa hata unaendea na 20 bob, sasa unadipisha 100. Na wanakuambia kama hutaki ufanye venye unataka. Mimi nimetoka kwa nyumba 5. Na natoka kwa nyumba 6. Sasa sijafika kazini. Sasa nitafuta kazi yenyewe basi.
Sijui nitaambiwa nini, maybe nimekuwa replaced juu nimekuwa absent without apology.
Along Thika Road, many remained stranded at passenger boarding stages, while others were forced to seek alternative means of transport, some scrambling to get space on cargo trucks plying the route. The few public transport vehicles on the road charged extremely high fares. Those who were used to paying 30 shillings on Thika Road towards Githurai were forced to pay 200 shillings. Roads in different parts of the country witnessed streams of pedestrians walking 4 miles to get to work, a picture that depicts and lays bare the suffering of ordinary citizens, with everyone forced to adapt to the situation.
Kwani tulichagua kiongozi, ni kiongozi tu ama ni kiongozi duni? Kama ni kiongozi duni si watuambie.
Kama ni hivyo wauze tu hii Kenya, watupatie pesa si tuame, ama watuambie tuame, wafanyie Kenya kenye wanataka.
Hatujui mwenye tutachagua lakini tunajua mwenye hatutachagua.
Amidst the transport paralysis, the main outcry has been the rising cost of fuel, which is the root cause of the strike, and the general high cost of living.
Mafuta iangaliwe, ishukishwe kwa sababu mafuta iko. Si ati mafuta hakuna, mafuta iko na wacha kutupandishia vitu.
Sasa hii nikichukua pikipiki kutoka hapa hadi huko wananitisha pesa more than 1500. Mimi mwenyewe sitengenezi 1500 per day.
Eyes now turn to Tuesday, and as to whether this strike by the Matatu operators will spill to Tuesday. Ian Keitani for KTN Prime.
And Tuesday is here. Matatus nowhere to be seen. Kenyans still stranded. The situation same as yesterday. Question is, when will Kenyans see light of the day, especially following that meeting that happened yesterday? And there's seemingly no end in sight. Light at the end of the tunnel is still as dark as that very same tunnel. But Kenyans are hopeful that a solution will be arrived at, with President William Ruto reports reaching us that he has called a meeting to be able to address the same, with hope as well that today the meeting that did not bear any fruit yesterday would be able to give Kenyans some sort of semblance or relief moving forward. We continue with touching base with our reporters across the country. Meant to understand that my colleague who is at Thika Road, that is Davis Mberia, is ready to bring us up to speed on what is happening on that neck of the woods. Good morning, Mberia. What's the latest from Thika Road?
Well, good morning, Aseto. Yes, as you've said, we are actually at Committee Road, linking Thika Road, and of course here Action Day 2 is actually continuing, and transport along Committee Road has been paralyzed. But before we got here along Thika Road, there was no, of course, public transport or any Matatu that was operating. There were just few actually private, of course, cars that were plying on that road, leaving several, of course, Kenyans waiting to see how they'll actually reach to their respective, of course, working places. We actually had some of the spot checks from all SOPs, of course, to TRM, Garden City. On the roadside, there were a number of Kenyans who actually forced in day 2 of this actually protest, forced to go to work on their foot. So here at Committee Road, a number of course, protesters have, of course, lit up bonfires along Committee Road, a road actually linking Zimmerman, Kahawa West, all the way to Githurai. And of course, every motorist who is using this road, he can't access on the other side of those places. Committee, of course, Kahawa West, Githurai, and other areas along also Committee Road here. I'll be speaking to some, of course, Kenyans or residents who stay here, including some of the border operators who actually protesting the hiking of fuel prices, which they say has caused the increase of standards. Welcome on.
And those are images coming to you from Thika Road. We apologize for the technical hitch that is there. We shall be touching base with Mberia a little bit later, as brings us up to speed on what is happening along Thika Road. As we've just seen, there are bonfires that have been lit on the road there, making it difficult for those who would even want to use that road to use it, pretty much because of what is happening there. We expect that that would see police officers move in to clear the road so that those who want, other motorists, other road users, would be able to use it. But key and important thing to note is that the standoff between government and stakeholders yesterday did not bear any fruits. Negotiations that were being led by Cabinet Secretaries Davis Chirchir and Energy Cabinet Secretary Pio Ndai stretched way later into the evening upon the time when the Cabinet Secretary said that there would be reduction of prices of diesel by 10 shillings, but an additional 38 shillings for kerosene to bridge the difference, that would be able to give relief to transport operators. But transport operators as well did not agree with that, because their proposal was that the fuel prices be reduced to around 30 to 35, and that would be what they would agree for them to go back to offering the services that is critical to the economy of the country. And as we talk about the economy, we look at the billions of shillings that the government has lost due to the ongoing strike yesterday. It has been pegged at billions of shillings that also stretch into today. And many ask, so where exactly are we when we deal with this strike that is not only robbing Kenyans from their hard-earned resources, but then again you look at the government that wants these taxes to be able to do its services and offer its services to Kenyans. But let's touch base with Esther Diana, who is in Talam or Utawala. If my director could just confirm, Esther Diana is coming to us live as well to give us the situation on the roads. Good morning, Diana. How are you? How's the situation where you are? We're getting you live and clear. What's the situation? We can see that a lot of Kenyans today are as well on the streets today due to the paralyzed transport system across the country. But what's the latest from where you are, Diana?
Well, good morning, Aseto. We are coming live to you from Kayole Junction here in Nairobi. And as you can see around me, these are Kenyans who have not been able to make it to work today. And they're just here to air their grievances. They want to tell us how do they feel about this strike entering the second day. We are also here with the chairman of an operator from the transport sector. And just to give you a glimpse of what we saw earlier in the day, as we came here, we could see that Matatus, trucks and lorries are parked by the roadside, and it's not business as usual. But something quite interesting we've also observed is that personal cars are actually now being used to ferry passengers. But that does not cover all the Kenyans who need to make it to work today, and a chunk of them are still here. Some are right behind my camera and some are behind me. And as you can see, these are Kenyans who should be at work today. These are Kenyans who should be driving the economy today. But just to get a hint of what is going through their mind, how do they feel about this particular strike going into the second day? How is it going to affect the economy and even their livelihoods? Because this one essentially trickles down into their households. I'm being told children are at home. They've not been able to go to school. Business women have not been able to make it to the market to pick their produce. And right now I'd like to speak to the chair for Travelers Circle, who will be able to tell us his take about this strike entering day 2. Chairman, karibu sana. Kwa maoni yako tu kwa ufupi tueleze. Leo tumeingia siku ya pili. Unaona tukienda siku ya 3 na leo kazi kwaje?
Kusema kweli magari ziko parking na tunaendelea mpaka serikali isikize hawa wananchi. Kwa hivyo tutaendelea tu hivyo hivyo, kwa sababu siwezi toa ile gari yangu kwa barabara na ijilipi. Iko haja gani kuonekana niko na gari barabara na hailipi? Kama vile nikuambia jana, we are poor millionaires. We are poor millionaires kwa sababu nimenunua gari ya milioni 7 na haipati kitu, haijilipi. Ni ya nini? Si afadhali serikali ikuje ichukue magari zote, itulipie loan, tukae bila magari, badala ya kuonekana tuko na magari kwa barabara na hatuna kitu. Tunaomba serikali ikubali kushusha bei ya mafuta. Kama sio hivyo tutaendelea. Kidogo tu.
Ukiomba ataendelea mpaka huko.
Okay, ni sawa vijana, kidogo tafadhali. Tunaomba tu, wacha tuombe kwa sababu wao ndio wako viti, siku itafika. Sasa tunaomba serikali ishushe mafuta. Na kama hata shusha, sisi tuendelee na mgomo. Hakuna haja kuonekana tuko na magari. Hawa vijana wanaonekana wako kazi na hawapati kitu.
Alright, asante chairman. Kependa kuongea na karibu kuja mbele huku.
Oya. Relax. To the government of Kenya. Mimi ni jamaa wa jua kali. Leo ni siku yangu ya pili nikienda job nikirudi. Unaona? Jana nilienda nikarudi. Leo nimeenda nimerudi. Watoto wako kwa nyumba wajaenda shule juu ya mafuta, juu kuna watoto wanaenda shule na magari. Ni aja gari tuumie tukisema tunawaomba waturudishe bei ya mafuta. Hatuombi. Warudishe bei ya mafuta chini. Uchumi kae poa. Mafuta ndio kila kitu. Uhuru president alikuwa amefanya man. Tusiombe hii maneno man. Wewe kama jenzi kama uko kura yako, ujamaa hata sijui tunamwongonya nini ya kura. Jamaa ende one time. Jamaa ende ni one time man. Tumetoseka bwana.
Alright. Asante, wacha tupatie mwenzako nafasi pia ongea atueleze maoni yako.
Okay, asante sana. Naitwa Kenas, niko hapa Kayole Junction. Nataka kuongea kama jenzi. Tunaumia kama jenzi. Leo ni siku ya pili na tena kesho ni siku ya tatu kama tujaenda kazi. Tunatembea tuna kazi na tena ndio hiyo mafuta imepanda na tunaumia. Sasa tunakuambia William Samoei Ruto, we have to survive kama jenzi. Kama ni mbaya, tulisema State House. Ati wale watu ambao walikuwa wanakusumbua na masufuria uliwapeleka nyumbani. Tunakuambia masufuria tuko nayo kwa nyumba, hazina chakula, tutarudi nazo kwa barabara. Kama ni mbali na mambo ni one time. Asante sana. Mambo hivyo. Asante alimaliza Tulieni mzee ongee.
Habari zenyu nyinyi wote.
Poa.
Mimi ile swali niko nayo. Kuliko pahali nimelelewa ni Kagudo Road. Nimekuwa kazi ya matatu kutoka 1999. Kweli wakati yangu ilikuwa wakati mzuri. Nyakati hizi kwa president wanakuja watu angalie maslahi yetu. Sana vijana wale tunazaa ndio wako na shida. Mimi ile kitu nataka mafuta kwanza. Serikali rudisha mafuta chini. Kenya iendelee. Kenya usiweke ni kama iko juu. Kenya iko chini. Tusikue kila mtu Kenya. Majamaa oi, one time.
Jenzi anaongea hapa.
Mimi ndio jenzi, unaona? Na sisi tuko kadi, unacheki. Mimi bado mimi ni donda. Siko kazi juu ya mafuta. Hata kama mnasema one time. Unajua one time tuna chantu wengi. Swali ni uko kadi? Uko kadi. Sisi hata hatubembelezi huyu jamaa. Sisi hatutaamuka mpaka mafuta ishuke. Chairman ndio.
Haya awacha. Bosi. Achani bosi.
Achani control.
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Paul Viongo. I'm the chairman for Travelers Sacco. Siku ya leo na siku ya jana tumesema hatuko kwa biashara na tunasema tunatetea wananchi kwa sababu bei ya mafuta imepanda na tunaona tunafinyiliwa. Na mwananchi amefinyiliwa kwa sababu ile bei wamepandisha mafuta, mwananchi hawezi kimu transport kubebwa na hiyo bei ambayo wanataka tuongee. Jana tumekuwa na mkutano na the minister, tumekuwa na Badi na tumekuwa na mtu anaitwa Chichir na tumekuwa na mtu anaitwa Okoyo Ondai na tumekuwa na mkutano kubwa na wao. So nita appreciate kwanza kwa sababu walitupea their time. We have a discussion of 4 hours with them at their office, na tukaafikiana kwamba kwanza wapunguze hiyo kitu. Walisema inaweza patikana shilingi 10, walisema 10 inaweza patikana, lakini sisi tulisema minimum yetu ni 46 shillings. So tunaomba 46 shillings ipunguzwe ili tuweze kufanya biashara. Kuongea tu kweli, sisi ndio tunaumia zaidi kwa biashara ya transport. Hata kama tumegoma, mapenzi yetu si kugoma. Tunataka turudi kazi, watu wengi hawana ajira, watu wengi hawana chakula. So tunaomba hizi magari za loan ziko na madeni, tunataka zirudi kwa barabara tuweze kufanya kazi. Tunaomba tu wanaishi waweze kuvumilia, kwa sababu ile shida tuko nayo tunafaitia nchi yote, tunafaitia wananchi, si about the transport, kwa sababu nia yao walikuwa nasema tukisikia tunafinyika tuongezee bei. Tukawaambia wale wananchi, unawaambia tuongezee bei, ndio wale tu wamefinyirwa na serikali. Tunataka kusema ya kwamba jana tulihuzunika sana, na we appreciate wale minister tulikuwa nao, kwa sababu kuna statement ilitoka na CS Interior ya kusema sisi ni wakora, sisi ni wakabila, na tunataka kusema sisi tunatetea Kenya mzima. Our strike is not about the political, it's about concern ya Kenyans. Kenyans wamefinyika, waache kuenda hiyo directions ya kusema sisi ni wakabila. Na tuseme hivi, tunataka Murkomen na understand, transport is that belong to the strongest people. Wakiona kwa matatu sisi kuweza kusustain kwa matatu, you are the strongest people that you can fight for these nations. Sisi tunaweza peleka tukapigania nchi. So atizuzie uoga, asisema atatushika, hapana. Sisi tunatetea haki yetu na tunaomba amani katika Kenya, na tunasema no amount of intimidation ambayo itafanya sisi tuache kudemonstrate, tuache kudown our tool. Tumesimamisha biashara yetu na kuna amount of intimidation itafanya sisi tuache. Na kama wako na nguvu, na jana walipunguza shilingi 10, hiyo nguvu bado wako nayo ya kupunguza mpaka hiyo 46 shillings. Tunasema ya kwamba waite special sitting ya bunge, wakae chini, wapunguze bei, tuweze kufanya biashara. With all due respect, we are over them. Our solutions, they are not ready for our solution. Let them take our solution, from then tutaweza kurudi kwa biashara. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dennis. As you can see, Kenyans right here are speaking their mind. They're saying that enough is enough. The cost of living is increasingly going high, and the cost of fuel is equally high. And right now, I'd like to bring it back to you, studio, but we're going to keep camp here and do a scout of some parts of Eastlands, and we'll keep you updated as more unfolds.
Thank you, Esther Diana, there bringing us up to speed from Utawala with Kenyans expressing themselves. But I want to step outside the city. We go to Nakuru City, another city, as well as Ken Gashui joins us and brings us up to speed on the situation in Nakuru. Good morning, Ken. Yesterday, Kenyans did not access their places of work because Matatus downed tools. Is the situation any different today? Good morning, Ken.
Thank you indeed. We are here in Nakuru City. At the moment, we are along the Nairobi-Nakuru highway, where we have the road is actually somehow clear. Very few vehicles are still moving on. This is because of the ongoing protest following the increase in fuel prices that hit a record high ever in this country. And at the moment, we have the road having just a few private vehicles moving around. We have only a few people and just a handful of matatus that are moving up and down. And we also have the public, the heavy commercial vehicles. The truckers have just parked their vehicles along the road just for their safety. At the moment, we have established that at Free Area Trading Center, the Nairobi-Nakuru highway has already been barricaded, but the police have rushed there and they are trying to reopen that particular road. And with me here is one of the truckers here. Tukianza na jina lako, unaweza ukatueleza ulikuwa umetoka wapi, ukielekea wapi, na hali iko namna gani? Tuanze na jina.
Moraya Muna anafanya kazi hapa World Energy, na tuna experience mashida mingi sana wakati fuel imepanda. Kama sasa unaona job hakuna, wamefunga job. Na watu pia wamekwama hao customers wetu wa area hawawezi tufikia, na tuko na customers wetu ndio wa hapa around. So job yetu imekwama hivyo, pia hoteli zimefungwa, kila kitu imefungwa. Tunashangaa tutafanyaje? Kuna otherwise ni government tutetee sisi. Unashika. Na government yenyewe imekataa. Kama jana usiku nimeona venye Vice President anaongea, nikaona hakuna hope. Hata ifanyike nini, hakuna hope. Sasa leo ni the second day. Kumaanisha tutasafa by the time tuna recover tena kwa biashara.
Na pengine ukiangalia mahali kwa kituo cha mafuta ambacho wewe unafanya kazi, zile trailer zimekuwa hapo kwa muda ama, na pengine plan yao umesikia wakipanga vipi?
Hizo trailer zimepaka hapo for the last 24 hours na still hawana hope ya kuenda juu, wanaenda mbali. Kuna wa Uganda, kuna wa Rwanda, naona ni za mbali, na wamekuwa hapo pale mbele free areas wamebarricade. Walienda hapo jana wakaporwa, so inabidi wana take refuge hapa mpaka time yenye kila kitu itakuwa normal.
Shukran sana. Thank you very much. Indeed, those are the sentiments of just one of the traders, our business persons here around this area. We are at the moment, we are at section 58, where flow of traffic seems to have resumed normalcy after the police rushed to the free area trading center where the road had been blocked. But we can see that we have several trucks have started moving. We also have the private vehicles and just a few Matatus, but a majority of the Matatu operators have kept their vehicles away from the roads because of the fear that they may be attacked, and also their own participation that in the ongoing protest against the high fuel prices. Here in Nakuru yesterday, we also established that we lost one person within Nakuru city, the person who was ran over by police officers' vehicle as they were engaging in running battles. Also in the neighboring Molo town, we have also established that 2 people were killed after they were shot by the police during the running battles there in Molo town, and also several others have also been rushed in Molo hospital. And we also have the various businesses in this around this area. They are still closed, most of them apprehensive that they may be looted, as was witnessed in some parts of Nakuru, some parts of El Kalau, parts of Gilgil, and also in Naivasha, where the protesters stormed Hetia's supermarket and they looted that supermarket of valuables worth millions of shillings. And at the moment we can see that just a few people have opened their shops, and they are just keeping an eye to ensure that if there is any risk, they just close and leave the premises. And this is a story that we are still keeping an eye on to ensure that we bring our viewers up to speed with whatever shall be happening. Later in the day, we shall also be visiting Nakuru Level 5 Hospital, where we have 2 people in the ICU and also 3 others in the general ward having sustained gunshot injuries yesterday during the running battles. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Gashui, for that report. As you've just told us, there are those who are in the ICU, others in general ward after suffering gunshot wounds from police officers yesterday. And a clear pictorial there showing the situation in Nakuru County, with the truckers and buses having packed at a petrol station as they await for the situation to get better, for them to get back to their business and transport goods to various locations across the country. We now come back to the city, Thika Road to be specific, and touch base with Davis Beria, who has been keeping tabs on the situation. Good morning, Beria. What's the latest from Thika Road? Good morning, Beria. You're joining us from Thika Road. What's the latest? What can you tell us this morning?
Well, a very good morning, Aseto. Yes, as we said, we are along, of course, Committee Road, a road linking Thika Road. But before we got here, we had some of the spot checks of some of stages used by, of course, Kenyans who ply between, of course, Thika to Nairobi using the Thika Superhighway. And in those actually stages, we saw actually stranded Kenyans who are waiting for, of course, the Matatus who are not plying. They are actually protesting owing to the increase of fuel prices, and some of them were left stranded, not actually getting every mean of transport to their, of course, respective working places. Where I am right now is Committee Road, and behind me, actually, if you can see, youth, of course, irate youth have lit up bonfires along Committee Road, blocking any actually motorists who are using this, of course, road to access on the other side of Kahawa West and Githurai 44. They are actually protesting against increase of fuel prices, which they say the cost of living has risen to the highest order in their actually living standards, so that they can survive, they can, of course, get their daily, of course, bread, and of course everything is expensive. Let me speak to a section of them just to share with us why are they here, and of course what it really means to increase the fuel prices. Are they actually burdened by the, of course, increase of the fuel prices? Karibu sana, naona wewe ni mojawapo ya waendesha bodaboda. Nieleze tu maandamano ya leo kisha mgomo wenyu hasa wa wanabodaboda, siku ya pili imeingia sasa. Kwako bwana, siku hizi mbili zimekwaje?
Kwanza kitu ya kwanza kusema nikasonga kwanza mahali yako akufe na ndege akikuja. Amen. Huyu jamaa anatutesa. Mafuta.
Very well, those are sentiments that are being given by Kenyans from Thika Road as they express themselves with the ongoing situation across the country after the fuel prices shot up following the review by the Energy, Petroleum and Regulatory Authority. And following other steps that have been put into place as well, we saw yesterday the meeting that took place, the Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Andai giving a proposal of reduction of fuel by 10 shillings, but the Matatu operators saying, nope, we do not accept that. We agreed that that our proposal would be between 30 to 35 shillings, and further warning and insisting that the strike would continue today. And as would be the case, the Matatu operators have followed through with the directive that has been given by their representatives who went to meet with the Cabinet Secretary yesterday. It is hoped that another meeting that was organized for today and maybe tomorrow would bear some fruit, and that would see a solution being given early in the morning. We had a discussion with individuals in the sector who said that the long-term solution would be perhaps going to Parliament to have a review of the levies that are within that sector, so as to ensure that a long-term solution is given, because remember, the act of Parliament that gives all these levies then must be reviewed, and that must be done in Parliament. Are we likely to see Parliament leave recess and come? Because those are some of the suggestions that have been given by many for us to have a permanent solution to the same. Only time will tell. In the meantime, we go to Kitengela, where we touch base with our reporter Vera Mora, who's bringing it up to speed. Good morning, Vera. Yesterday we saw Kitengela being the epicenter of the protest and the demonstrations. What's the situation this morning, Vera?
Morning to you, Aseto. Indeed, I am in Kitengela. This is Kajiado County, actually leading to Nairobi County. But as you mentioned it, yesterday was actually the epicenter of protest due to fuel prices increasing. But as you can see behind me, if my camera person can show you, actually, Kitengela town is back to normalcy. However, there are a lot of police officers actually all over the town, just making sure that everything goes as smooth as it should go. And I can see a few shops are still closed. However, others have actually come out to trade and business as usual. Aseto, this highway is actually the Kitengela-Namanga highway, and it was totally paralyzed. No business in and out of Kenya into Tanzania through the Namanga border, because this is the route that heads to Namanga. But today, as you can see, commuters are actually using this road and everything is actually moving on smoothly. But Aseto, it is also noted that yesterday there were a lot of chaos. As early as 7 a.m. I was here yesterday, and this place was actually blocked by youths who lit fires all along the road, all the way to the border of Kajiado and Namanga, that is along the EPZ road, and this place was totally impassable. But Aseto, today we are here to see the aftermath of what we call the fuel increase prices protest yesterday that were experienced all through the country. Where we are currently is actually a cafeteria, I can call it that, but it's a small place where people actually come here for refreshments. And as you can see, it was totally vandalized, everything coming to a standstill, and now they are counting losses. And with me here is actually the owner of the place, perhaps to just tell us and paint a picture of what really happened yesterday. Was he in the place when the youth entered and looted his shop? How many losses is he counting? Sir, karibu sana kwenye KTN. You'll begin by your names. I'll help you hold the mic. And then you'll tell us what exactly happened yesterday, where were you, and how much losses are you counting today?
Okay, first of all, my name is Samuel Otiso, and I am an operation manager for Tico's restaurant. Yesterday, I was not around, but my team was around, was within the business. And when they decided to see that the commotion is almost to start, they closed the doors and they went home. So in a few minutes, these guys, after they started the demonstration, they came to our shop and they destroyed everything we got. There is balances. We have had a lot of like electrics. Tumepata pia asala ya vitu kata. Baadhi ya hizo vitu ni damages sa furniture. Most of the furniture they were destroying and going with it. So other electronics that they decided to take are TVs, cashbox, and even equipment. Yes.
Pengine unakadiria hasara ya shilingi ngapi hivi in Kenyan shillings?
I can't be able to approximate exactly, but I believe we have won a loss of 1.5 million to 2 million. Yeah.
Pole sana. Pole sana kwa hayo. Nitakuwa nazungumza na wewe baadaye hapo kwenye taarifa zetu zingine. Lakini Aseto, that is it from here Kitengela, but he is actually not the only person that incurred losses yesterday. The Coca-Cola depot that is adjacent to us here was also vandalized, and they are also counting losses. I have seen other shops, around 10 businesses in Kitengela actually incurred losses following yesterday's protests. Aseto, as for now, Kitengela is actually back to normalcy, and a lot is actually happening as it should be. And there's one more resident that wants to speak to us. Mama, karibu sana kwenye KTN. Utavua kofia yako ndo watazamaji waeze kukuona. Sawa sawa. Utanieleza tu jana maandamano yalikuwaje na wewe ulikuwa wapi?
Maandamano ilikuwa baya sana sababu walianza hapa Tikos, wakakuja hii duka yangu hapa. Wakaimba, wakafunja. Hata ni bahati walikuwa nang'ang'ana waibe hiyo, wagushe hiyo friji yangu. Lakini waiba mchele, wakaimba kila kitu.
Pengine hasara ya pesa ngapi hivi?
Hasara tuseme hasara sababu hasara kama 1,100.
1,100. Pole sana. Na ungependa serikali ifanye nini kuhusiana na migomo hii?
Hii migomo inaweza faa sababu ilikuwa migomo ya gari iko ya hawa wa vijana. Sasa walifanya vibaya sana. Sasa nataka hata angalau waangalie isikuwe tena hiyo. Sababu unaona sisi hatukuwa tuna hiyo maandamano. Sasa ilikuwa ya watu wa magari, ikakuwa ni kuharibu mali ya watu. Sasa kama hapa hawana chochote wala nini.
Na mwingine hapa, utaanza kwa majina yako kamili alafu utanieleza jana maandamano yalikuwaje, pengine uliathirika kivipi?
Jana maandamano ilikuwa mbaya sana.
Majina yako?
Mimi naitwa Rashid Kenodia. Maandamano ilikuwa mbaya sana. Hii watu wanajifanya ni maandamano na kana kwamba wanataka kuharibu vitu za wenyewe. Juu sasa kama huyu mama unaona ameenda hasara sana na hiyo duka yake ndio inamsaidia, sasa imeporwa. Sasa hata hii si maandamano ya mafuta, ni waizi. So mimi ningeuliza serikali kama lazima maandamano kuwekwe maandamano na kukue curfew. Sisi zote tukae kwa manyumba. Juu watu wengi wanaumia. Unajua siku hizi watu wanasurvive na maroons. Sasa unaona watu wanarudi chini. Kama ni maandamano, iwekwe maandamano na iwekwe curfew, tukae kwa nyumba. Hivyo tu.
Sasa kama hii maandamano ni baya sana. Sasa hizi walikuwa wanataka hii tukianza ilikuwa ya mama boga, kuinua mama boga. Sasa hii kibada hata na uzaka boga ilikuwa imetupwa na huko. Unaona? Si si nini, si ya hasa, sijui ni nini sasa, hii ni kuharibu ile kidogo umepata.
Lakini mnaathirika na bei ya mafuta, pengine bidhaa wewe mwenyewe unapataje? Soko imekuaje tangu mafuta kupandishwa bei?
Mafuta ni baya sana, sababu hata sasa tukianza sasa, kama leo ningekuwa niende matanga, sikuenda. Kuna magari hakuna nini, sinaona bei nayo ni baya. Iangalie hiyo bei ya mafuta sana, sababu hiyo kama sio wakati hiyo bei ya mafuta haingekuwa na hii maandamano. Sasa sinaona hiyo bei walitokelezea sababu walisikia kuna maandamano ya magari ya magari na hii mafuta. Sasa walikuwa nasema ni mafuta. Sasa nikashindwa hata ni mimi niongezea mafuta. Si mimi.
Pole sana. Pole sana. Ndo matamshi ya wakazi wa eneo hili la Kitengela Seto. That is the latest from Kitengela. A number of residents and locals, business persons have actually counted losses beginning yesterday from 7 a.m. when protests erupted in Kitengela, Kajiado County, all the way to around 7 when the police officers were able to calm the situation in Kitengela. Aseto, I will be here monitoring the situation of Kitengela town and other areas. But so far we have Vocal Africa, activists of Vocal Africa, human rights defenders, actually confirming to us that we have 2 deaths in Nairobi, and actually Kiambu has recorded 3 deaths since yesterday when youth and Kenyans at large came out to protest. We will also be following up on that and bring you the latest. Aseto, for now, back to you in studio.
Thank you, Vera, for that updated and detailed report right there showing the situation, including traders who were just going about their business and looters who took advantage of the situation and robbed off hardworking Kenyans. Real sad indeed. But let's go back to Thika Road, that is at Kenyatta Road, where Committee Road, where Davis Beria is, to bring us up to speed. Beria, a lot has happened from the last time we talked. Kindly bring us up to speed.
Yes, Aseto, a lot has happened. Of course, some few minutes I was speaking to some of the irate, of course, residents of this area who are protesting against the high cost of living, which has been caused by the hike of fuel, both petrol and diesel. And after actually just speaking to one of them, police actually came and dispersed, of course, the irate protesters. And some of the police officers telling us we should be cautious and we should not actually condone making those actually groups come to us, because they are attracted. They want to speak to the public. They want to speak to the president. So that is the only way they can actually speak to us. Of course, here at Committee Road, nothing is happening. Transport has been paralyzed. Remember, Committee Road is one of the key roads that actually links residents who stay in Kahawa West, Githurai 45, Githurai 44 beg, and Zimmerman, actually linking up to Thika Super Highway. And today, before we got here, we had some spot checks in some of the actually areas where actually these residents get their transport from. We started at, of course, Allsops, where residents and Kenyans who woke up very early today morning to go to their actually work were left stranded. No matatus, no public transport. The few actually private cars that were plying on that road could not afford actually to carry all those, of course, Kenyans along Thika Superhighway. Right now, the police officers have managed actually to disperse some of the protesters, and they seem that they're not going away anytime soon, because they really want what they demand is President William Ruto and the UDA, of course, a broad-based government, should come out and actually listen to them, listen to what they term as they are actually, of course, frustrated by the high cost of living of the, which has been caused by, of course, the hike of fuel prices. We've seen a couple of police officers who are not donning their official, of course, uniforms. They are in, of course, casual attires, using motorbikes, and these motorbikes, I really don't know, I really don't understand where they are coming from. So that is the situation here. We are following up. We shall be going on the other side of Kahawa West just to see what has been, of course, what is going on right now. But as per now, nothing is happening along Thika Superhighway, and a lot is happening on this Committee Road, where the residents the protesters are saying we are not going actually to relent. We are not going to back down up until the government does something. Of course, making sure the fuel prices actually comes down and the cost of living comes down. As you can see, my camera person, Cosmas, giving in that shot, those are some of the police officers who are actually using the motorbikes just to trace some of the protesters who have been here some few minutes ago. So as per right now, they have actually identified some of the protesters. 3 of them have been arrested, and as per now, we've not seen any incident where a protester has been injured. But as we go on the day, we are actually told that this area is one of the hotspots. When the time moves to afternoon, everything actually gets so bad and the protesters may actually overwhelm the police officers. So we shall be following keenly what will be happening on Thika Road and, of course, along Commuter Road. Back to you, Aseto.
Thank you, Beria, for that report. And you and team there, be careful. As you can see, the situation is not looking pretty good at the moment. That as police officers move in to disperse the protesters who are there, who barricaded roads and have lit bonfires. We shall be touching base with all our reporters across the country, who continue to do an amazing job updating the public on the situation on the roads. Now, most Matatu stages in major towns were deserted as public transport operators and border riders and other stakeholders in the transport sector commenced a strike over high fuel prices. In some areas, police officers used tear gas to disperse Kenyans who had turned up to participate in the strike. However, some stakeholders have vowed to continue with the industrial action. Clement Masombo reports on how the situation unfolded in different parts of the country.
Transport services were disrupted across the country as public service vehicle operators and border riders took part in the strike, piling pressure on the government to reduce fuel prices. In Nyeri town, some public transport terminals remained deserted, with drivers and other operators left idling around.
Kuna magari zinaenda, hata wana bodaboda wote wako strike sababu ya hii mambo ya mafuta. So tunanyenyekea tukiuliza serikali ijaribu kupunguza bei ya mafuta.
So tunaomba serikali ireduce bei ya mafuta irudi chini kidogo. Juu saa hii hata ukiwaambia mafuta lita ni 250 na hata baada mtu asienda na ekaga 100 aende skudibiri. Kweli atafanya kweli?
Sisi hatuendi huko kwa barabara kugoma, hatuendi kuhakisha mioto, hatuendi kufuga barabara. Mahali huwa tunafanyia kazi hapa ndio tumesimama siku ya leo. Tumesema leo hatufanyi kazi, hata customers wetu wako hapa. Hata wao wanakubaliana because the prices have been hiked.
In Nakuru City, it was a cat and mouse game between police officers and people who had turned up to take part in the strike. Residents of Nakuru accused the government of turning a deaf ear to the cries of Kenyans.
The government has decided to showcase the arrogance and ignorance. When you stop listening to the people, or you read, they will stop believing in you, even when you have good intentions and ideas.
In Kisumu, the situation remained calm, but transport activities were paralyzed, with the public transport operators joining their counterparts in other parts of the country. A similar situation was also reported in the border town of Busia, where passengers and business people complained about the high cost of living.
Government will only understand this lockdown environment. Otherwise, dialogues and all whatever political angle is taken, we don't care. What we need the fuel prices to come down.
Na tumeamkia mapema kufika stage, kuna hali ya sintofahamu kwa sababu tunasikia barabarani kule mbele zile gari zilijaribu kutoka, zimefungiwa barabarani. Hata Luanda kuna zile zimepigwa mawe kwa sababu raia wako na hamaki.
Embu and Meru towns also remained deserted as passengers and cargo vehicle drivers expressed the losses they had incurred. A similar situation was also reported in Homa Bay County.
Sasa tunaumia sana kama sisi watu wa operators za heavy trucks. In fact, Kenya 70% zinatumia I think diesel. Na sasa hiyo diesel ndo hatuwezi pata rahisi.
In Kiambu, residents accused police officers of using excessive force against people who took part in the strike.
Ningetaka kuomba serikali bei ya mafuta iende chini haraka iwezekanavyo kabla haya mambo hayajazaa mambo mengine mabaya zaidi.
In Machakos, Police were forced to use tear gas to disperse large crowds of Kenyans who had turned up to participate in the strike, aimed at pressuring the government to lower fuel prices. However, public transport operators and other stakeholders have vowed to continue with the strike until the government eases its stand.
So naomba tu serikali ihurumie wa Kenya, mafuta iweze kushuka. Juu ukiendelea magari zingine ni za roads. So wengine hatutaweza kulipa.
Clement Masombo, KTN.
Thank you, Clement, for that report. Now, that is the situation that was experienced yesterday across the country, where Kenyans found it difficult to to get to their places of work or even to ply their businesses. But that notwithstanding, there is a meeting that was held yesterday between the stakeholders in the transport sector together with the Energy Cabinet Secretary, Opiyo Wandayi. This is the recap of the statement that was given after that meeting.
We have had lengthy deliberations from 4 p.m. today up to now between the Ministry of Transport and Roads, the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, and the National Treasury on the one hand, and representatives of associations of various public transport sector operators concerning the situation around the recently announced prices of petroleum products. The government of the Republic of Kenya regards the public transport sector as crucial to the functioning of the economy, and therefore would not wish to see any form of disruption in that particular sector, even for a minute. So in an open engagement within a spirit of transparency, we have been able to listen keenly to the issues raised by the public transport sector players. And one of these issues was the matter of possible adulteration of diesel due to the huge disparity in the prices of diesel and petrol and kerosene, sorry. The disparities between the prices of diesel and kerosene, as was announced by EPRA on the 14th of May this year. We have come to an understanding that for prudence purposes and to eliminate the risk of fuel adulteration on account of this huge disparity and to save the motor vehicles that are operating using diesel from possible malfunction as a result of possible adulteration, we are going to bridge the gap between the prices of diesel and petrol. And that would mean, therefore, that the price of kerosene would have to go higher as that of diesel comes lower to bridge that gap for the reasons I have stated. That is the understanding we have come up with in the course of these deliberations. Details of those movements of prices are going to be published shortly by EPRA as mandated by law. I must also add that EPRA was fully involved in those deliberations, and this common understanding has been arrived at unanimously.
That was the statement by CS Opio Wandai of Energy. But the Matatu operators as well, who were in that meeting, had this to say. They insist that the strike is here to stay.
On tomorrow, and it is proceed until we have a better negotiation with the government, because we have not reached to consensus. We have been requesting for them to reduce 46 shillings, and they have over 10 shillings. So they have said that they are going to gazette that 10 shillings, but we shall engage them further tomorrow and Wednesday, so that we may find that whereby we shall reach in a position whereby we shall have a consensus or in agreement. So we are calling upon all our commuters, all our travelers to bear with us. We are fighting for them, actually. Instead of increasing price of the transportation price, so we are fighting for our travelers. So we pray that they observe that, they bear with us, and they maintain peace and stay at their home.
And Matatu operators as well had a lot to say yesterday. Let's just take a look on what they said.
That the price of diesel and kerosene be at par, but on the rest, on the issue of the diesel prices, that one we've not agreed, and we have scheduled another meeting, which could be tomorrow or the day after. So in the meantime, it is our request that all our drivers and owners of vehicles continue keeping their vehicles at home.
And very well, that is the situation that the country finds itself. And today on Kenya's Bold newspaper, you can get yourself a copy of the same, or also go on epaper.standardmedia.co.ke. That is the situation on our roads today. This is Thika Road. One would think that it is a new road being launched, but nope. It is because many have stayed away from these roads because of the total shutdown that has been experienced. And here we look about a security where 4 people were killed yesterday, several others injured and property destroyed during the protest. Now, when you talk about businesses in major economic hubs remained closed amid fears of vandalism and looting. Education, schools were shut. Others recorded low attendance due to security concerns and transport disruptions. Of the 3 that I've mentioned, still being experienced today, still children have not been able to go to school. I know enough of my colleagues whose children are at home because they cannot release their children to go to school due to matters to do with insecurity and unavailability of transport. And on transport, many Kenyans were forced to walk to work after Matatu operators withdrew their services. Many call the situation as Kenya being a working nation. And the economy is estimated to lose about 3 billion shillings for every day of demonstrations. With what we're seeing today, put that at 6 billion Kenya shillings. Now we touch base with Bentura Kwamboka, who is along Wayakiwe. Good morning again, Bentura. What's the latest along Wayakiwe? Anything has changed? Are we seeing vehicles moving in Westlands?
Well, thank you so much, Aseto. We are coming to you again from Westlands, that's along Waiyaki Way. The latest update I can give you is that the road seems quite busy, but that from personal vehicles and border borders which are ferrying people from one point to another. As compared to yesterday, these roads were empty. Even those public personal vehicles, actually, some of them were being barred from using the roads, but as you can see my camera panning, that's those are vehicles headed towards the central business district. The roads are a bit active. People are going about their business. But something to note also, if we can pan towards this particular establishment, you can see several shops are closed, but we have different retail shops and supermarkets still in operation. So this the current situation, and as you can see, we have the presence of security personnel here just monitoring the situation and ensuring that there is calm and peace, trying to see maybe certain groups or people don't bring disruptions in the transport sector. That is what we have here from Westland as far as the strike of the Matatu, day 2 of the Matatu strike continues. As you can see, this particular place where we have I think one Matatu or so, this place is usually flooded with Matatus that operate this route as they take commuters to the CBD from those places like Uthero, Kino and Kangemi to the central business district. But what I can tell you, as far as movement is concerned, the border sector is reaping quite something, because that's the only reliable public means of movement. And we talked to a few earlier. They've said business-wise is not that bad, because there are no Matatus on the road, and the only option that they the commuters have is to use border, and also the border fares have hiked. Case in point, movement from Westlands to Kangemi was as high as 500 shillings. So they are the ones who are reaping big in this particular strike. But aside from that, you can also see that businesses have been hugely impacted, because on a normal day, businesses here right now is around 10 a.m. The place is usually busy with the traffic and people going about their business, but that's not something we are currently witnessing here. So probably, I don't know, by the end of the day, maybe we are going to see a situation whereby definitely the economy is going to be impacted, not as much as yesterday, but definitely it's not 100% operational. And we'll be waiting to see that particular meeting that the Matatu Association and the stakeholders in the transport and energy sector, they say they're going to continue with the deliberations on how to move forward. Remember, the Matatu Association had said they want about a reduction of 30 to 35 shillings in order for them to at least make a profit and be operational, and also not to squeeze the common mwananchi in terms of movement. Remember, Nairobi, the major means of transport is Matatu. Most people cannot afford taking taxis or taking borders from one point to another. Definitely we'll be looking and we'll be following up those meetings and deliberation, and we see if at the end of the day a solution will have been reached, or the strike is going to stretch into day 3. That's all we have for you, Asoto, here from Westlands, and definitely we'll be coming to you. We'll be coming back to you with more updates on situation on the ground.
Thank you, Ventura, for that report. We see a little bit of movement along Waiyaki Way at Westlands. That will be the mall area. As you see, only a single Matatu is there, especially in an area where Matatus are usually operate from. But we see a lot of movement from private vehicles and border riders who were there today. We had a meeting with Kevin Mubida, who is the president of the Border Association, and he says that as border sector, it is upon them if they want to join the protest protest, they might as well do that, but that them as a body have not stopped their members from operating because everybody is facing different challenges. The reason why you see today we have border borders that are operating as well and ferrying Kenyans from one point to the other. The catch, though, is that it is very expensive for you to be moved from one point to the other, and many say they are making back due to what is happening in the country. Now, with no transport services available in many parts of the country today, Kenya was turned into a working nation. Inconvenient for many, to others it was a massive sacrifice. Mary Mbugua, a 70-year granny, epitomizes the sacrifice some Kenyans went through to come through for their loved ones. KTN's Nakib Kemboy reports.
Clear roads, some turned into skating and football grounds. The walkways busy. At age 70, Mary Mbugua is determined, walking from Githurai. A walk that is not easy at her age.
Nimetoka Githurai 45, naenda shule ya Gahawa Garrison, naenda kuchukua mtoto. Wazazi waliambiwa waende wachukue watoto. Kukuja asubuhi watoto walikuja, lakini kurudi wameshindwa. Kila mzazi aende achukue mtoto wake. Sasa mimi naenda chukua mjukuu. Mama yake alikufa. Sasa mimi ndio niko na hiyo jukumu.
Pole sana mama.
Ni msichana.
Ni msichana? Ako which grade?
Grade 8.
The grandma, who is a Mambamboga, says this is not ideal for her.
Mtoto anakujaga peke yake shule na kurudi jioni anarudi peke yake. Hakuna gari lolote, hata pikipiki wanaogopa kuja. Nitarudi tena vile nimekuja.
Her health is not at its best.
Hiyo ndio inashika mguu. Hata mgongo nimefunga na ile mpira ya hospitali ya kufunga mgongo. Mgongo na imeachana nini mbili.
Kwa spinal cord. Daktari alisema aje kuhusu hiyo, so lazima ufunge kila wakati.
Nafunguaga tu wakati naenda lala.
Coupled with high cost of living, Mary says she feels betrayed by her leaders.
Tuliambiwa pesa mfukoni. Sasa pesa inatolewa mfukoni, hatujui zaenda wapi. Sisi nahangaika. Unga imepanda. Mafuta ndio hayo. Tutafanya nini? Lakini tunawangoja 27. Kula ni zetu, sio zao. Tuliwaandika kazi, lakini hawatufanyii kazi. Wanatuumiza. Na wajue, mahali popote muajiriwa ni mpaka atafutwa. Na akifutwa nakubali kwenda nyumbani, akalime.
After waiting for half an hour, she was told her granddaughter was released way earlier. And now she starts her journey back home, hoping to find her granddaughter there. A painful walk in a walking nation. Nakib Kemboy, KTN.
Those hard images to see. When we talk about the fuel crisis in the country and Matatu's downing tools and not operating, it is not just about the aspect that there are no vehicles. Many other aspects of the society are affected. Today, children are not in school. What does that mean in the long term? We have those in boarding schools who are continuing with their classes. Those who are unable to go to school today will sit the very same exam as those who have been in school. Where is equality when you talk about offering education to all the children of the Republic as a constitutional requirement? It's not just about the fuel prices, it's about being fair to everybody in the country. Now, what ideally should have been peaceful demos over fuel price hikes quickly turned into chaos and destruction in various parts of the country. In Makueni County, protesters stormed the UDA offices, looting them before setting them ablaze. In other counties, business owners were left counting heavy losses after their property was looted and vehicles set ablaze. Ken Gashuhi reports.
Violent confrontations were witnessed in different parts of the country between police officers and protesters demonstrating against the rise in fuel prices to levels never seen before in Kenya's history.
Tunaomba tusikizwe, tunaomba tuache kufinyiliwa, tunaomba tuache kunyimwa maendeleo yenye manufaa kwetu. Fuel brings everything to the community.
In Makueni County, protesters directed their anger at the offices of the ruling UDA party, Wote branch office whose furniture was looted before being set on fire.
Hii ni nyumba ya mwenyewe ambayo amejenga. Si nyumba ya William Ruto, si nyumba ya chama. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka niwaambie wale ambao wanafanya tabia hizi, tunataka tuwaeleze. Please, tuulize haki zetu kwa njia inayostahili. Hii si njia ya kustahili.
The protests also disrupted transport along the Nairobi-Mombasa highway, with thousands of long-distance trucks being stranded at various stopovers.
Na nilikuwa nataka nifike leo Mombasa. Sasa singeweza juu ya hii mgomo. Sasa sisi tunashindwa, hii kitu imekuwa namna gani? Mafuta imepanda Kenya, ukienda Uganda mafuta iko rahisi.
Malori zimesimama kabisa, hazitembei, biashara ziko chini, kwa sababu sasa wale waliingia asubuhi tu ndio tumepata hela zao, mpaka wakati mgomo itaisha ndio sasa tutakuwa na wageni wengine, kwa sababu zote zimesimama.
In Nakuru County, demonstrations that began peacefully later turned destructive. In Naivasha, protesters torched this truck belonging to a contractor involved in the ongoing expansion of the Rironi-Mau Summit Highway. Later, the protesters stormed Hetia's supermarket in Naivasha town and looted property worth millions of shillings, during which one of the looters sustained bullet injuries. Hetia's supermarket was also targeted in Nyeri town, where property of unknown value was stolen, with several police officers sustaining minor injuries in the confrontation. Questions are now emerging whether those involved in the acts were genuine protesters or criminals taking advantage of the transport operators' demonstrations. Ken Gashuhi, KTN.
Let's talk about schools. Learning in most schools was disrupted Monday following the demos called for by the Matatu sector to protest the high fuel prices. The closure affected many schools in Nairobi and other towns where transport was paralyzed due to demos by Matatu sector players. Ventura Komboka with this report.
Schools across the country have shut down, not just because of a mayor's strike or poor weather patterns. It's because the fuel is just too expensive to run buses. And while teachers are not able to commute to their workplaces, kids are forced to stay at home and learning is put on hold. The early morning scenes of Nairobi, usually marked with heavy traffic and lots of movement of school buses picking and ferrying students between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. remained unusually quiet, with some learners being spotted stranded at some Matatu terminus. Within the city's center, most public schools, including Nairobi and Moi primary schools, remained shut due to non-availability of public transport. In Eastlands, some public schools recorded an 80% attendance, with slow learning reported and disrupted school schedules.
Today is a very unfortunate day in our country, but we thank God because of our school that our population here stand actually over 80-85%, because majority of our learners here come from around, and therefore those who come from these areas here, they have not been disrupted. Maybe the 10, 15 or 20% that has not returned is the one that comes from far away areas who uses Matatu transport.
A spot check by KTN in Thika, Kiambu County revealed empty classes.
All the children are now at home. Buses were not able to transport children. Remember, our buses transport children from as early as 5. They are on their way going to collect children. Education is a serious sector. It's not something you wake up in the morning and you say children must stay at home. And so we are disturbed as a nation.
Hard hit were private schools.
The private schools have been adversely affected by the rising cost of not only fuel, but the cost of living. Our learners have to come to school, they use diesel. We have to buy foodstuffs from the market. Those foodstuffs are brought in by trucks which use diesel. And everything which we buy, the prices have gone up. We are finding that even the instructional materials are being unaffordable to our parents.
Following the disrupted learning in schools, the Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association Chairman Kitui Branch called on government to resolve the issue to ensure resumption of learning.
I think that these demonstrations are not affecting schools.
they are directly affecting our operations. Therefore, I want to urge the government to move swiftly and meet with those stakeholders, because they are serious stakeholders in transport system, and avert these problems.
Reporting for KTN, my name is Bentura Kwamboka.
Thank you, Bentura, for that report and the entire team that has made this a success. You know, we have all our reporters. Vera Mura is in Kitengela. We have Davis Media, who is along Thika Road, Ken Gashuhi in Nakuru. We have Violet Auma, who is in Kakamega. We have Ontomwa, the CBD, Bentura Komboka, who is Waiakwe, as well as Esther Diana, who is in Utawala. Everybody making sure that we bring you up to speed to what is happening in our roads. It's my time to leave, but Suleiman Yeri will be coming in to continue with the coverage in Swahili. As they would say, Baki Naheri means Suleiman Yeri, but right now, Mimi ni Dennis Aseto. Suleiman Yeri coming in a few.